You ever feel like you want to be spaghetti? You just want to be a pile of spaghetti, maybe with a little butter, a little parm, maybe some sauce too, why not? But instead you're a meatball, and you're just sitting on top of this pile of spaghetti, wanting to be spaghetti, and so you kind of feel like an impasta. I'm sorry, I'll go. Yeah, so, terrible jokes aside, I want to talk a little bit about feeling like an imposter. You know, maybe you have imposter syndrome, you don't feel like you're trans enough, which, by the way, you are trans enough. You are enough just the way you are. So I'm going to be talking about that today, which might touch on dysphoria, possibly, you know, transition, you know, hormonal, surgical, aside from just social transitioning. So just a heads up in case you don't want to hear about that. But yeah, so, and none of this is scripted, so I may touch on it, I may not. This whole thing would probably benefit from a script, but nah. So, let's start with not feeling trans enough, because I was talking to somebody recently, who is a baby trans, and, you know, they kind of felt like an imposter. They felt like maybe it was just a phase, like it wasn't real, you know. And of course it is. And so my therapist has said that, you know, if you are willing to go through all of this, all like the mental anguish and, you know, having people judge you and everything, if you are willing to go through the difficulty of being your most authentic self, it's definitely real. You wouldn't do this for shits and giggles, pardon my language. So it is definitely real, and I will tell you that right up front. No matter what, you know, where you're at, you know, where, if you just came out, if you haven't come out yet, if you're just starting to question, it's okay. You are valid no matter what. And nobody can take that from you. I know people will say mean things, people will, you know, pass judgments, but it's none of their business. And they are not inhabiting your body. They are not you, so they can't really tell you how to feel. And that's so much easier said than done. It's taken me a long time to get to the point where people's opinions of me don't impact my self-esteem. But that's, once again, a whole other video. But let's get back to this idea of not being trans enough. And the first thing I want to say is, well, second thing, I guess. I don't know. I've lost track. I don't know what day it is either. But even if it is just a phase, that's okay. I was straight and cis for 20-something years. That was just a very long phase. And, you know, while you're exploring your identity, you might go through different labels. You might feel different ways, and that's okay. I think that's actually really one of the interesting and fun things about it, is that nothing has to be set in stone. So my advice to this person was basically to, you know, while they were exploring their identity, trying to kind of be comfortable with it, I told them to just try different things. You know, maybe you want to try makeup. Maybe you want to try binding. You know, maybe you want to cut your hair. Maybe you want to wear a dress. You know, whatever you want to do, give it a shot. Even if it's just, you know, in your bedroom. And if it feels good, stick with it. You know, nothing. You know, maybe you identify as a trans woman, but you don't have to like wearing dresses. You know, I'm a trans guy, but I don't hate, you know, art. You know, I'm a very artistic person. I'm a creative person, even though it's not like seen as typically masculine. Gender roles are bullshit anyway, but so just be true to yourself. And you will know if something feels good, even if it feels scary, or maybe it's like confusing as to why it feels good. If it feels good, just like tuck that away and hold on to it. And I think that's probably the most intuitive and natural way to, you know, help yourself take steps on this journey. I think a lot of us ask the question, are we trans enough? Because society is always passing judgment on us. You know, maybe you don't want to transition, which is totally fine. And you think, well, you know, I see all these other people who've transitioned and I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. But you are not supposed to do anything. Again, it all comes back to doing what feels right to you. you don't have to do anything to impress or please anybody else. I think also part of the problem is that, let's say you identify as transgender, but you don't want to transition. Society will tell you that, you know, maybe you look like a girl, let's say, and you want to be a trans guy. I've been through this. Actually, I had one conversation with a guy who kept calling me like, honey, sweetie, oh, you're so cute. And it was just like very like feminine centered language. So finally I'm like, you know I'm a guy, right? And he's like, what do you mean? Or it's something like, really? Like, how? And I'm like, what do you mean, how am I a guy? And I replied, I'm like, I just am. And he's like, can I see pictures? And I'm like, of what? Like, what do you want? Do you want a dick pic? So yeah, and it made me feel like, okay, I need to do something because I'm not, coming across the way I want to, but I don't. Like, we are not the problem. Society is the problem. And unfortunately, the burden, however, is on us to educate everybody around us. It shouldn't be, and you know what? You don't have to do that. It's exhausting to do that. If people don't want to be accepting, I think it's better to just drop them. Which I know is not possible in all cases. Maybe you're stuck at home with your parents, maybe you're in a relationship that you can't get out of right now. Life has a way of always throwing a curveball. But finding people at least who support you, I think is important. And I support you. Again, you can shoot me an email, drop a comment. I will always be happy to tell you that you are valid and you're enough and you're wonderful. So, if you ever need that, I'm here for you. Anyway, so society has a way of making us feel this way, where there's no measure of transness. It doesn't exist. And actually, I read something just before starting this video and was like, there is no such thing as a successful transition. There is no such thing as having fully transitioned. Like, it's not a thing. And I think part of that is, again, this problem of living in this binary society where you think, and people might ask a question, are you fully transitioned? Or you might think, I have to take steps A, B, and C before I am transitioned and it's done. But it's never done. A lot of people are going to be taking hormones for the rest of their life. It's never, and again, your identity can shift and that's okay too. So transition is not like this linear process where it has to start here and end here and you have to look a certain way here and you can no longer look the way you did here. That's not what it's about. It's about feeling more at home in your body, and whatever steps you take, or if you don't take any steps, it's all okay. But yeah, people will try to tell you that if you don't look their their standard of a woman or an attractive woman more often, or a hot guy, then you have not succeeded. And I don't know how they can judge where you're at in your journey. But so many people like to try to. And yeah, there's not an end point, and I think it's very exclusive of non-binary people too. And people have this idea of like, well, if you're non-binary, then you have to look androgynous, and of course you have to look androgynous in an attractive way, but you don't. You can be as masculine, as feminine, as androgynous, whatever as you want, no matter what you identify as. So that's all I got for you, really. There's just, maybe if I keep repeating it, I'll like hammer it in at some point, but like, your transition is about you and not about anybody else. So do what makes you feel good, not what makes other people happy. That's general life advice as well. Again, I know it's not always feasible. I'm fortunate that I'm in a position where I can kind of just say, all right, screw you, I don't need this. But, I know it's challenging for a lot of people. And it just makes an already difficult and sometimes confusing process even more challenging, and especially if you don't have that support. So I hope that you can find a community that'll support you. I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook. They're really good. Like I said, I'm here for you. Check check locally, like, in Albany we have, the Pride Center. I should know this, but, hopefully there are organizations near you. I guess it depends on where you live too. I'm in New York, so we're a little bit more progressive, I guess. So your transition is about you and nobody else. All right, it's your body, and transitioning is about being more comfortable in it. And some people don't transition, and that is okay too. Some people maybe just want different pronouns. Some might want a haircut. Some might want to do makeup. Some might want to pursue surgical or hormonal options. And it's all okay, no matter what you do or don't do. It's all good. It's all about you. So it's all about feeling more at home in your body and liking the person that you see in the mirror. And you should like yourself. You should love yourself no matter what. But sometimes you just want to wake up and have like a nice beard, or maybe you want like really nice eyelashes. I don't know. But I fully support you in taking whatever steps you need to, and I fully support you if you don't want to, there was a B, for whatever reason. It's all okay. You are valid no matter what. That is the whole point of this segment. So, people try to tell you what you should look like, what you should or shouldn't do, but it's your body and it's your choice. I've had people telling me for years, like, oh, you want all those piercings, you want all those tattoos. Like, well, hell yeah. Like, I wanna decorate my vessel the way I want to, because I'm stuck with it. So, do things for yourself. You deserve it. I know it's not always feasible, but at least know that you have my support. There are communities out there that will support you, no matter how you want to go about being yourself. So, you are trans enough. You are valid. You are loved. You're awesome. You're awesome the way you are, but you should feel comfortable being so awesome, I guess. So yeah, feel free to drop me an email if you want to talk. Leave a comment. From what I've learned from watching every other YouTube video in the world, I'm supposed to ask you to subscribe at the end, so do that, please. Thanks for tuning in. Don't let people get you down about your... But I screwed it up again.